Well, thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. I concur with the chairman's remarks regarding the Iran situation.
Not on everything? Just on
let's not go overboard here. Okay. He and I met with the IAEA, and I think they're doing a really good job. I really do. I think that there's a different attitude there than there's been in years past, and they are very clear-eyed, and more importantly, they're willing to actually talk about it and say the things that's on their mind about what they're finding and not finding. So, again, we need to encourage our European allies to join us in what we're trying to do as far as Iran is concerned. You're probably aware that here in the Senate, last week and this week and probably next week and maybe after that, we're talking about a potential repeal of the 2002 AUMF. And there's legitimate differences of opinion on this as to whether it should be done completely, whether it should be done partially, and that's all well and good, and we're debating it. Included in that, however, is an attempt to repeal the 2001 AUMF. And I've got a few questions I want to ask you about the 2001 AUMF, and these are just 2001, not the 2002. So the first question I have is the administration currently using the 2001 AUMF legal authorities?
We are.
Second question I have is, in the absence of a new AUMF to replace 2001, is it a vital authority?
In the absence of being able to replace it with something to rely on, yes, it is.
And then lastly, do you think the 2001 repeal should take place before there is an actual replacement of it?
I would hope that if we're moving in that direction, we do this concurrently, which is to say there shouldn't be any gap between the potential repeal of the 2001 authorization and a replacement. We are fully prepared to work with Congress on finding a way, if that's the direction you take, to repeal but replace 2001 with something, if that's the direction of Congress, that is focused, appropriately targeted. But as it stands, we continue to rely on it to make sure that we're protecting the security of Americans who remain under threat from Al-Qaeda, from ISIS-K.
Well, I appreciate that, and
Meeting will come to order. Meeting will come to order. Meeting will stand in recess until order is restored.
so moving along, I want to talk about the Outcompete China initiative, which I think we're all in agreement on as far as objective is concerned. How we get there, of course, is a matter of debate. And I don't want to get too far in the weeds on budgeting, but this is a budget hearing after all. And the department's seeking a $2 billion mandatory expenditure and $250 million in discretionary funds for that. The $2 billion mandatory funds probably are less likely than anything else. So the question I've got for you is, are you thinking that that there's going to be another, or the administration will be pursuing another supplemental if necessary? Is that the thought process here, or what?
No, Senator. I mean, I can't speak to that at this point. I think it's premature to get to that. The budget is on its own merits our best assessment of the resources we believe we need, absent anything else, to effectively advance the effort to deal with the challenges posed by China.
Yeah, fair enough. And although I think you would agree with me that the $2 billion is in mandatory is going to be tough to do. It's probably going to be a pretty heavy lift for the appropriators. So in that regard, as you know, I wrote to the department asking about expenditure for hard infrastructure, including transport, energy, and digital infrastructure. And I was assured that that was going to happen with the $2 billion. But then the question becomes, if it moves from mandatory over to discretionary, is your view the same, that these expenditures will be for this hard infrastructure as opposed to social kind of programs?
Yeah, I'm certainly determined to do that. We're going to have, some top-line budget challenges depending on how these funds are actually
fair statement
apportioned. So, but that would certainly be my determination. Look, to your point, We are in a competition, including on things like hard infrastructure, where they're able to mobilize all of the resources of the state to do it in a way that invests in loss leader projects because it's strategically important to them. Now, we've seen something of a backlash against this in country after country, where it turns out that taking this money is not necessarily leaving countries in the best place. Piling debt on, as we all know, bringing in laborers from China instead of using local workforces, not caring about worker rights, environmental protection, et cetera, bringing corruption with it. So it's been a double-edged sword for a lot of people. Nonetheless, the resources are significant. Our comparative advantage is finding ways to catalyze more effectively private sector investment. We need to be able to do that by putting some of our own money down, equity down. One of the tools, by the way, that you all know so well because you've been instrumental in helping to shape it is the Development Finance Corporation. And we also think it would be very useful to change the way that its equity participation is scored, which makes it very hard for it to provide as much equity investment in projects as it otherwise would. It's the greatest guarantor to others coming in on projects to see a little bit of money on the table from the government. The DFC is an important vehicle for that.
I appreciate that. My time's almost up, but I want to take one quick bite of the apple here on Taiwan. Does this fit into my time?
Senator Risch served in
I noticed, Mr. Chairman, Mr. Ranking Member, it doesn't seem to be directed at you.
No, it doesn't seem to be directed.
All right, so one quick question before I yield here is Taiwan. I was deeply disappointed when I saw what was proposed here. The $16 million is, I mean, it's stunningly. If we're going to pursue the porcupine theory of how to defend Taiwan, I mean, the $16 million doesn't even pay car fare over there. It seems like to me. What are your thoughts on that? We got to do better than that.
No, a few things, and I know this merits a longer conversation. Maybe we can at least start it. So when it comes to Taiwan, we have a couple of things. We appreciate the authority that's been given for foreign military financing. We also appreciate the drawdown authority, which we're looking at how we could effectively use. When it comes to the FMF, what we put in place in the budget is a broader fund, an emerging priorities fund globally. It's about $113 million. But when it comes to Taiwan, what we've been focused on is foreign military sales. And over the course of the last few years, we have done about $5 billion in foreign military sales since the start of this administration, about $10 billion going back to 2019. I have signed out more cases as Secretary of State last year than any previous secretary has done. Taiwan increased its defense budget by about 11%, so it has significant means to acquire this technology. So we're looking at the best ways to get it. One of the challenges we have has little to do with our budgets or our authorities, as I think, again, everyone on this committee knows very well. The long pole in the tent in providing equipment to Taiwan to defend itself is the production capacity here, and this is something, of course, that we're working on. But in terms of both the monies and the authorities, we found that the FMS program in particular is best suited, and there's certainly not been any delay in getting these cases out the door. State Department, I turned them around very, very quickly.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.